morning. It's Viewpoint. Mrs. Busby to my right, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives, meeting each Wednesday morning at 08:15 to 0900 hours. And how are you this morning, Mrs. Busby?
Fine. Military time kind of confuses me. Not
easy.
In the morning, but in the afternoon.
It's the easiest thing in the world.
But I get by fine in the morning, thank you.
Well, you can remember AM and PM, you're all right.
There you go.
Good morning, Mr. Ash. Busy man there this morning. Start with a kudo. Well, first I want to tell you my experience last night. I just have to report, Mrs. Busby, that I slept exceptionally well, knowing that everything is just wonderful, just wonderful. The only thing lacking was Ethel Merman standing in the wings singing "Everything's Coming Up Roses." I should add, that the comments elicited from this microphone are mine and mine alone, and have no bearing whatsoever to the ownership, the management, or personnel of WLCN. So I'll take full brunt for that. 648-5510, in case anybody wants to give me a verbal slap. Stand here ready to take that, all right. No further comment. Kudos. I noted in the local media that our Chamber of Commerce had an annual meeting again, and I think, a lot of times folks in the background quietly do an awful lot of good things in this community. The Chamber, of course, has been with us for eons. Many of us down back past years served as in one capacity or another with the Chamber of Commerce. So I think we ought to give them a little tip of the fedora this morning for all the great work they do.
That's very fair. And I happen to like their leader as well.
Yeah, nice, yes, absolutely.
Very energetic girl.
Perhaps we might jump right into the program this morning and have you introduce our nice guest this morning. We're going to talk about things that I'm not particularly aware of and probably should be a little more. So go right ahead, please.
Well, I think that's Andrea might agree that's not uncommon. Mm-hmm. We aren't as aware of this as we might be.
Yeah.
Andrea is here representing Logan County Love. It's a new organization, and if you'll bear with me for a moment, I'd like to share with you their mission statement. This is a group for people in Lincoln, Logan County, Illinois area that are concerned about the effects of poverty on our friends and neighbors in our community. Although our community is rural and has a small town feeling, there are a lot of people in our area in need of emergency shelter and support. I know there is some help available to those in need in our area, but because of the lack of funds and limitations to the help, there's a need for more services to those in distress in our area. We are a service group that wants to show love not just in word but also in deed. In this building relationships with our neighbors and helping each other, we strive to live in close community. And this is a quote: poverty is not just a lack of money but a lack of relationships. Mm-hmm. And surely that makes sense.
Yeah.
We do have a real growth in this area in the people needing assistance. I was talking with somebody the other day who said they mentioned the food pantry, the Lincoln Logan food pantry, and they said that it made them cross because when they went by there they saw some kind of nice cars and trucks that the people owned. And I said, well, we never know the whole picture. Right. And this could have been somebody that was employed right up to today.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, the bottom drops out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
My friend's daughter had a good job. She was just doing fine. All of a sudden, boy, they knocked the pegs out from under her.
That's Simba, the tiger you hear.
Yes.
I think she came up through
She does. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
We have an unusual tigress here.
Oh,
but at any rate...
and one to my right also.
I'm the door opener for the cat. But it's nice to have steady work. So anyway, things have changed, and not
Definitely.
Necessarily for the better.
No.
Now, in talking with you before we came on the air, apparently you have a long history of trying to help people that maybe some of us are blissfully or shamefully unaware of.
I think,
That's two good words there.
unless you've gone through maybe a sudden job loss or been actually in a situation where you had to go to the food pantry, maybe you don't really realize what people go through. But really, part of the thing about our group is just trying to connect people together. And maybe if you don't know somebody who's in that maybe situation, like come and hang out at one of our meals and you'll meet someone and talk to them and start a relationship with them. And with the quote, like, poverty isn't necessarily a lack of funds, it's a lack of relationships. But I don't know if when you've ever been down or out, a friend has helped you instead of you going to a food pantry or a church for assistance. It's, somebody that you know and you ask for help. And I think a lot of people are lacking in those relationships, or those relationships get stressed and people are just like, I don't want to help anymore, or, something like that. And so that's when people are really forced kind of to go to these ministries and churches and other things to get help. But it's good that they go, definitely. And if they don't, they kind of have to either do without or just work with what they have. So,
Andrea, tell me, please, tell us, please, the beginning of this organization. How did that get birthed, so to speak? And how long has it been you formed as an organization?
As an organization, we're not like a 501c3 or anything like that.
No, I understand that.
But we're
local roots.
Yeah, we
local
just
efforts.
I actually met Catherine Cooper and Derek Cooper through a service organization that was going on here in town, and then we kind of just continued to talk and just kind of build our friendship and relationship, and they see a lot of the poverty that goes on in this area, and they really reach out to a lot of different people, and they've had people stay at their homes that have been homeless and or in a domestic dispute and things. And so we knew of a lot of things that were going on under the scenes kind of Logan County, and but it's been going around kind of. Kat was just like, when are we going to do this, Catherine, or Kat? Like, when are we going to start something? Like, when are we going to get an organization together so we can actually join other people and, get this going? And I was like, okay. And it was actually in Walmart. And we just, I was like, okay. And so I just started the website on Facebook. And it's free, and anybody can join. And for a while, we really have just consisted of that. And actually, the woman who got me this interview and this connection and stuff, I've never actually met her face to face, but I've met her on Facebook through relationships like that. And
so from one relationship, we have many.
Yeah, it's true. And we're all really connected. And I think that's something, like in Logan County, like, we're a rural place, and we all really are connected. And I think we need to know that and really help our neighbors and people that we maybe don't even really know face to face, but,
You mentioned some statistics that you had talking about, for instance, in the south side of Chicago, the poverty rate would be greater than here. The hunger rate would be greater than here. But in here, it would be greater than lots of other places, too.
Yeah, to an extent, I think that the Chicago area definitely has a higher poverty rate in some areas, definitely. But rural hunger is, and where we're at, like Midwest area, is higher than some of the national averages. And Feeding America actually has a statistic that 1 in 6 Americans actually deals with hunger on a regular basis. And I don't know if you've seen the commercials, they plug that a lot going on, and they have a lot of celebrities that are plugging that right now. It's definitely true that a lot of people are dealing with that. It's a real issue. And so that's why our food pantries, once our economic thing, we're really not very steady right now in this country, and so it's people
That's
are really having to. It's really not
that.
steady, and so people are a lot more people are having to go to food pantries or get link assistance and or that type of thing.
Exactly.
Andrea, in your position in working with this, are you in a position to know? Of course, most of us have a definition of homeless in our own minds as to. Are you in a position to know what kind of a factor that is here in this area?
I wouldn't know an exact statistic, but I could tell you that rural homeless looks very different than your statistical, like urban like Chicago type homeless. I would say that like country or rural homeless looks like more like couch surfing and going from place to place to place for somebody that will take you in. And I know that's been a big problem actually within our teenagers in this area and things. Get into a fight with your parents, and then you kind of go from friends home to friends home to friends home that will take you in, which can be a bad situation in some cases, not always the best place for them to be. And that same thing with domestic issues in this area. You know, somebody will take them in for a while until they're taken, you know, or talked into going back to a household that is not safe for them or not a very good relationship for them to be in. So it looks really different in rural America. And unfortunately, I read a story about it that actually our area is sending a lot of people away to Bloomington areas and Springfield areas for them to get assistance.
For availability.
For availability, and yes, and there's really, they're running out of places to house people, and so it's becoming a very big problem.
I guess most of us define homeless in our minds that somebody actually has no place to go at all and they're sleeping on the street and so forth. So, but by definition, you just described that if somebody's going from one
place to place,
to another, they're in essence, by definition, again, homeless.
Yeah, I think it's more than in essence, though. I think there's a legal description for the sake, for instance, of the high school, because things are calculated differently according to your homeless population in your school.
Yeah,
and for the purposes of education, there's a regular definition of homeless, and what you talk about describes a homeless youngster, student of that school age. So it may not be that they don't have any roof over their head or are even in their car. It just means that they aren't in the traditional home.
That actually happens a lot in this area. People have vehicles to sleep in and maybe no other place. Like I've heard of actually, like, it's kind of crazy, but 2 different pregnant women that were sleeping in their vehicles. And, you know, they're in their early 20s, I think, and stuff, and they didn't have anywhere to go, and they didn't, I think where they were before was a bad situation that they were trying to escape. And so, actually, Logan County Love really supports the Genesis Project, the Thrift Store New Beginnings, and they're overarching. They're trying to get a domestic, like, kind of shelter going for women, and I really support them. I totally see that needs to happen in Logan County area. And
the closest we'd have would probably be Sojourn. Would that be right?
Yeah. What you were talking about before would probably be something close to that, but now it doesn't exist. You said before there's really no place homeless wise, except for now Tony at the Salvation Army. I think he's trying to get their emergency shelter going and figure out about that type of thing.
That's most appropriate.
Yeah, definitely. I think they need host families is what they're looking for first, and to build it up and make sure that it's a safe place and that the volunteers are safe and know the procedures of the Salvation Army and stuff, but then hopefully that will get going. It's great.
You know, unless you're on the firing line in this field, as you seem to be, those of us who are more fortunate just kind of blindly go on our daily activities, totally unaware of some folks in real stress and real need out there. And that, as I understand this, is just a daily thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would say that, you know, for some people it's just a matter of a bad argument and they're homeless, they're done, you know, they're out.
That's been threatened to my house several times.
Yeah.
Probably threatened in many
I don't want to make light of this subject.
No, definitely.
Not at all.
But that's another thing, I guess, is what's cool, what I've seen it happen, and like with the Cooper's household, if they see somebody that's homeless but they know them kind of and things like that, they'll let them come in and live with them for a while until they get on their feet and things. And that's when I talk about a lack of relationships. Like, that's what it is in our country in a lot of ways, I think, is I kind of get it, though. You're not going to let someone stay at your house you don't really know. It's kind of really hard to do something like that. I totally get that. But if you knew them, really knew them, hung out with them maybe for a year or something, and then they're in a bad situation, we probably would let them couch surf, at least stay there so that it could all be okay for a while until something got figured out. But that's kind of why we do these meals and things, is so people can meet.
I'd like to ask you, please, to talk about your community dinners that you're sponsoring.
Well, I guess the kind of unique thing about our group is that we're a bunch of different people. We're from different churches. I think about 6 churches are represented or so in our in Logan County Love. Probably more online. I'm just thinking of the people that have come to meetings like physically there and stuff. But a lot of people do participate on Facebook, which is great, and I love that. And really, thank goodness for Facebook being there to be a free website. But we do a third Saturday community dinner. We kind of stole that from Carroll Catholic in there, but we're like, hey, let's have it
I'm
one
sure
time,
they're
just
glad
like
to
they
share.
do. Just like they do. They do First Sunday, which is awesome. Great ministry. Huge amount of people come to that, and it's fantastic. And then, and we're just starting this. This is going to be our 4th one in February. The third Saturday community dinner, and St. John's United Church of Christ actually has opened up their church for us to use, and we have a member there that goes, Kathy. Attends United Church of Christ, and so she just asked, and we asked, and they said, yeah, that sounds great, and so we're doing that there, and it's a great ministry. But we do it from 5 to 7 o'clock. As of right now, we're trying to figure out times and stuff, and it's free. The cost is free. We just want people to hang out with each other, and donations are accepted, and they'll be, if they're cash donations, they're rolled into the next meal, and if they're food donations, we donate that to a local ministry.
Well, we're going to take a quick minute for a commercial break. We're going to come back and discuss a very, very serious subject here for Logan County. And right now, we're ready to take our break, Mr. Ash.